Have you ever wondered why is it that you keep coming up with the same kind of challenges, experience the same kind of roadblocks throughout your life, and even though you've done a lot of inner work, maybe personal development work, some inner healing and things like that, but you still keep experiencing the same kind of challenges and roadblocks and obstacles, and you're really not sure why? Now, what if I were to tell you that the reason behind why you keep experiencing those challenges is because there's certain aspects about yourself, those shadow aspects, that are actually sabotaging your efforts, they're sabotaging you in your life. They're also sabotaging your success and even your happiness. And in this video, I want to share with you some of the common but often not so obvious ways that your shadow is actually sabotaging you. And also how that actually affects you in your life. Because knowing these shadow aspects and how they play out in your life, how your shadow actually holds you back and sabotages you in your life, gives you the awareness to then do something about it. Because then when you're becoming aware that, you're doing it again, you're experiencing the same challenge again, you are experiencing those shadow aspects, then you can do something about it. You can make different choices, you can take different actions so you don't recreate or re-experience the same kind of challenges and obstacles and setbacks and things like that. So let me share with you those common ways that your shadow actually sabotages your life. Now, before I go into the common ways, I also want to touch on why your shadow aspects do what they do. So your shadow, these are the hidden aspects of yourself. They are even suppressed parts of yourself that are not always very obvious, and you're often unaware of what's playing out. But the sole purpose of your shadow is actually to keep you safe. But oftentimes, your shadow operates on a very limited point of view because you're the one who actually created those shadow aspects based on certain experience that you had throughout your life. You have then created those shadow aspects to keep you safe moving forward. But oftentimes, it is because of the limited point of view that you had in the moment when you experienced certain things that had you creating those shadow aspects. So I just want to touch on that real quick because your shadow is actually helping you in a way, but it's also limiting you. And by understanding that, you can help your shadow aspects to transcend into a high level frequency so it can serve you in a higher way. But just know also your shadow, you can't get rid of your shadows, okay? Because they're part of you. They're there to keep you safe. But what you can do is by uncovering those shadow aspects and becoming aware of, how they are playing out in your life, you can then make different choices so you can then integrate the shadow, because each shadow also holds a gift. And it's when you really take the time to really do some shadow work to uncover your shadows, what's really playing out in your life, you then heal those shadow aspects, you transcend them, and you integrate the gift. You uncover the gift first and you integrate the gift. That's how you can really then work with your shadow to grow, to transform, to transcend. So let me share with you those common ways that your shadow actually sabotages you. Knowing that will then give you more clarity and more of an awareness so you can do something differently. So the first way is actually a self-sabotaging behavior where you allow your fears and your doubts and limiting beliefs and limiting thinking really get in the way of you actually taking action. Procrastination is also attached to that, because if you're having self-doubt, then you may procrastinate on actually taking action, or you may then want to make things perfect before you actually go for it. That then also turns into procrastination of then actually moving forward. You're so much in that doing phase that you're not actually then moving forward because you're procrastinating to actually release something, to let something go, or to create something or whatnot because of the self-doubt. That also includes negative self-talk, when you're always talking negatively about yourself. And it's all connected to the core shadow of self-doubt. And all of those fears and insecurities, they're then driving your behaviors. They're driving your actions, or actually the inaction. They hold you back. They limit you, where you then end up talking yourself out of things. Or you're then settling for something less than what you want because you doubt that you can actually have what you want. And that shadow of self-doubt then actually prevents you from creating the life that you want, experience the success that you want to experience, and also reaching the goals that you have set for yourself. It's really holding you back. So that's the first common way that shadow aspects tend to sabotage you in your life. They're affecting you negatively. So if you're experiencing that, if you're noticing that you're always talking yourself out of it, or you're having a lot of self-doubt, it might be a good idea to really do a little bit more shadow work, to really dive deep into uncovering those self-doubts that you have, so you can then break through them. You can then overcome them. You can heal them. You can transcend them. Then the second way your shadows often sabotage you is projection onto others, where you are projecting your fears, your doubts onto other people. You're not also blaming other people or society or anything outside of you for why you're not experiencing the success that you want, why you're not having the loving partner, why you are not healthy and fit or whatnot. So you're projecting your inner discomfort, your fears, your doubts, your limitations onto outside sources, and it's kind of mirroring it back to you, right? So you can, in seeing that in other people, you may not even see flaws in other people, and that's actually the flaws that are within you. So by you projecting all of that out onto other people, they're reflecting it back to you. So that's why you're often feeling triggered by what other people do, what other people say, how the economy is, and things like that. It's because you have projected your inner stuff onto other people, onto outside sources, and that's just triggering you. So it's like your shadow is constantly being poked. It's constantly being triggered. And that's because you're projecting your stuff onto other people or outside sources. Now, this can actually cause a lot of conflict and misunderstandings as well. And that can also negatively impact relationships, because if you're always blaming other people, or if you're always seeing fault in other people and things like that, that, as you can probably imagine, can cause some problems. So if you're noticing that if you're always like blaming other people, or you're always judging other people or seeing their faults, then that is also a great sign that your shadow is actually being poked all the time, and you're projecting that out onto other people. So if you're experiencing that here too, great idea to do a little tuning in, to do a little more shadow work, to uncover, well, what is really playing out here, and then also heal and clear and transcend that, so you can then stop projecting your own stuff onto other people. But even projection is also a good way for you to learn something, because if you wouldn't project anything, if you wouldn't be triggered by all these outside sources, then you wouldn't be able to uncover those shadows. So here, instead of then getting mad at, oh, I'm experiencing that again, like, oh, okay, I'm experiencing it again. Okay, there's something there that I need to work on. So the next time you are trying to blame someone outside of you, or another person, or a situation, or circumstance, or society, or whatnot, or you're seeing fault in another person, instead of saying anything and reacting to it, take it as a teaching moment. Like, okay, I'm being triggered here. So what's going on here? So this is triggering me. So let me do some inner work here, because this is something within me that I'm just projecting out onto other people. So you can use that as a teaching tool, as a teacher basically, because it's reflecting back at you what needs healing, what needs your attention from within. Then the third way your shadow keeps sabotaging you and negatively affecting you in your life is you're experiencing repeated negative patterns, meaning that perhaps you keep going to the same kind of relationships over and over and over again. Like you keep attracting the same kind of person in your life, or you keep attracting the same kind of situations, and you're kind of like in that loop. It's like always kind of the same kind of theme, different people, different situations, different circumstances, but like the core theme is always the same. And that's because there are certain shadow aspects that keep getting poked. They're unresolved, right? So you keep attracting those type of people because there are certain shadow aspects that need healing, that need clearing, that need releasing, that need transcending in order to break that cycle. Because if you don't, then it keeps you in that cycle. So if you're experiencing any repeating negative patterns, then here you may also want to take a step back to look at, okay, what am I meant to learn from this? What is at the core of this? And then do some shadow work around that. When you really uncover, well, what is really at the core of this? What are the shadows that are being poked? This could be the shadow of I'm not good enough, inadequacy, self-doubt, or whatever it is, right? So you want to really uncover those shadow aspects. And when you then heal and clear that will then help you then really break free from that. So you will stop the cycle of those reoccurring negative patterns. But these reoccurring negative patterns is also a way that your shadow keeps sabotaging you in your life. Then the fourth way is emotional reactivity, where you have a very short fuse, where you react a lot, where you're being triggered a lot, you're emotionally quite tense. You're also overreacting to just minor, simple things where you then afterwards like, why did I blow up like that? I mean, this is something simple, right? And that's because all these shadow aspects, if you're suppressing them for too long, they then manifest into those intense emotional reactions. So think of it like that. Your shadow is constantly being poked by outside interference, by outside sources, or even internally, or what you're experiencing. It's constantly being poked. And eventually it's like you're just going to blow up. The more you're being poked without addressing the constant poking, it then turns into an emotional reactivity. So if you're noticing that you often blow up quite quickly, or you're reacting negatively quite often, and you're overreacting to just some simple things, or you're more agitated or easily triggered, these are all signs that your shadow has been poked way too many times and it turned into that emotional reactivity. So whenever you're noticing that you're feeling agitated again, you're feeling triggered again, you're overreacting, then take a step back and look at it. Okay, what is going on here? What am I feeling? Because if you don't, then if this stays unchecked for too long, that it then turns into emotional overload, emotional drain, because it's an emotional roller coaster, because you're constantly being poked. Your shadow is constantly being poked, and it's like it's a constant trigger, right? So if you're noticing that you're having that emotional reactivity, also a sign that you would benefit from doing some shadow work to really uncover what's going on and to heal that and clear that. Because if you constantly have that emotional reactivity, I'm pretty sure you can imagine that is not going to be very supportive with the people that you are surrounded with, your loved ones, right? Because you constantly are on edge, and you don't want to do that, because it's also not healthy for yourself either. And then the fifth and final way that I want to share with you is the fear of success, where your shadow aspects are holding you back so much that you're actually not even taking actions. So this is similar to procrastination, but in a different level, because here the fear of success actually keeps you from taking any actions. You avoid opportunities for growth. You also then keep settling for less than what you actually want, because you're so afraid of actually succeeding, because it is so outside of your comfort zone that what I can actually have that. Because when it comes to success, there are the good consequences of you actually having what you want, right? And then what comes with that. But then there are also the negative experience. Well, you actually have what you want. Your life is going to be different. So there may be resistance around that too. Now, fear of success also kind of goes hand in hand with fear of failure, because they both kind of play out on the same kind of spectrum, because fear of failure can also hold you back from really taking the actions, you're really going after what you want, because you're so afraid that you might fail. But then also success as well, because yes, you might say, well, why would I be afraid of success? Because I want success. I want to achieve the things that I want. I want to reach my goals. But then the thing is, whenever you reach that next level or that goal that you have, well, your life will no longer be the way it is right now. And that is a threat to your ego. That is a threat to what you know. Your shadow is then being poked, because like, ooh, scary. Not doing that, right? So if you're noticing that you're actually holding back, that you're not really going after what you want, maybe you say, yeah, yes, I want that, but then you're actually not actually doing anything to go for it, then that could be a sign that you're actually afraid of actually having what you want. Now in here, that can also then be many other things underneath it, like, not feeling good enough, not feeling worthy, not feeling deserving, the fears of the consequence. There's so much more underneath it. But the fear of success, or even the fear of failure, is usually like the umbrella kind of shadow aspect, and then you want to dive deeper beneath it to uncover, well, what else is there. But having that shadow of fear of success, or even fear of failure, will then play out that you're actually not achieving the success that you want. Even though you may be doing all the right things. Maybe you are taking actions and you're doing things, but it feels like there's that invisible force that you keep fighting against, that you can't break through, because even though you're doing so much, you're still not getting to where you want to be. The success is still not coming, or just very, very little, right? And then here you may then want to tune into, well, why are you so afraid of actually getting to where you want to be? Because like I said, there are the good consequences and there are also the not so pleasant consequences that our ego self, our shadow self is actually afraid of, is trying to keep us as protected from. And when you allow this fear of success or even fear of failure to play out, then you're actually sabotaging you from actually achieving the success that you want. You're keeping yourself from really stepping into your full potential. So here are the 5 common ways that your shadow sabotages you in your life. I really hope that resonated with you and that you may have gotten some insights. And here I want to invite you, maybe open yourself up to what I shared and then just look over your life and see where are those things playing out in your life. And here, do so with an open heart and an open mind. Never judge. Always be grateful whenever you're uncovering something, because all these things, and even if maybe some of the things that I shared with you may have triggered you, great. That means that I talked to your shadow, that I triggered your shadow. Use that as a teaching tool to then uncover, okay, well, what triggered me? What is it that had you triggered by what I shared? What came up for you? What resonated with you? And even if it triggered you, what resonated with you? And then tune into that. And feel free, maybe leave me a comment below. Let me know. Did any of that resonate with you? Are you seeing how this is playing out in your life, or how some of those things are playing out in your life? Leave me a comment below. I would love to know. While you're at it, maybe even hit the like button if you enjoyed this video. Maybe share it with someone that you think could benefit from it. Because shadow work, shadow aspects, we all have them. But they don't have to define who we are or our path or, where we're going or our success, our future. It doesn't have to define any of that. Whenever you're becoming aware of shadow aspects, you can do something about it. That's why if you were triggered by this video, great, then I did a good job, because I want you to understand that you have shadow aspects and then you can do something about it. Because if you don't become aware of it, you can't do anything about it. The shadow aspects are still there. They're still playing out in the background. You're just not aware of them. So my intention was to really, hopefully, trigger you enough to realize that you have certain shadow aspects so you can do something about to heal them, to transcend them. And I also have some videos in the description below that can help you with it. One is, for example, a light language activation to heal the shadow of I'm not good enough. And there's some other light language activations on my channel. If you haven't subscribed yet, definitely subscribe, because on this channel, I will assist you with transcending your shadow aspects, really raising your consciousness, healing deeply, and really stepping into your power, because none of those things, none of those shadow aspects should define who you are, where you're going, the life you're creating, or you actually creating the life that you want. It's about uncovering what is holding you back, then healing it, clearing it, working through it, and then transcending it, tapping into the gift of the shadow. Because each shadow, each of those challenges, each of those things that are holding you back, they actually hold a gift. And it's about uncovering what that gift is, then healing the rest, healing the negative charge, and then taking the gift with you, and then embodying that. And that's how you then integrate and transcend your shadow. So I really hope that you enjoyed this video. Now be sure to check out these 2 videos here. That's one video is about the 6 steps on how to start healing your shadow, and then also that light language I mentioned about healing the shadow of I'm not good enough. I really think you're going to enjoy both of them. So thank you so much for being here. I look forward to seeing you in the next video. Until then, make an amazingly abundant and joyful day. Namaste.